Natsuo is having fun with his friends when his teacher Hina appears and tells him to stop gossiping about P. Diddy at school. Seeing her pretty face makes Natsuo give in, but he knows his chances are small, as there are rumors that Hina has a boyfriend. And when his friend invites him to a mixer, he goes, while the other girls at the party act cute. Among them is Rue, who acts coldly, but her appearance puts Natsuo in a trance at first sight. Then they start talking, where both agree that the casual dating culture is no good, since they were both nerds before becoming attractive. Looking at Rue makes Natsuo remember Hina, but then she asks Natsuo to sneak out with her and do her a favor. They go to her house and she takes Natsuo to the bedroom, telling him to do that with her. She says she wants to try it after all her friends mocked her for being a virgin. After going back and forth about what is morally right, Natsuo agrees to do it, despite his crush on Hina. After the 10 seconds of greatness he experienced, Natsuo and Rue don't say a word. And after they leave, Rue tells Natsuo to be strangers before they go their separate ways. Natsuo goes to his friend's house and hugs him after being traumatized by what he felt touching a female slit. His friend Fumiya can't believe that Natsuo lost his virginity to some random girl, knowing he actually has a crush on the teacher. Reality begins to weigh down, and Natsuo begins to regret having lost his virginity in that way. But Fumiya reminds him that his crush on Hina will never come to anything. The next day, Natsuo spends time alone riding on the roof when Hina appears and starts teasing him about the first time they met. Knowing that Hina likes to go there to lament, Natsuo tries to comfort her, but is treated like a brat since Hina doesn't see him as a man. She teases him by telling him to grow up first, and this only makes Natsuo fall for her even more. The next day, he goes back to the roof to have some time alone, but there he sees Hina. Once again, he tries to comfort her, offering his shoulder for her to cry on, and Hina treats him like a joke, thinking he's not mature enough. However, Natsuo snaps, telling her to start seeing him as a man. At home, he falls asleep dreaming of Rue and Hina, but then his father wakes him up and says he has an announcement. He's getting married again, and his new wife and her daughters are coming. The anime gods deliver the plot of the century after shocking Natsuo with his new sisters, being both Hina and Rue. Natsuo can't believe his eyes upon seeing so much plot progression at once and faints. After an awkward introduction, Rue confronts Natsuo and tells him that she wants their parents to be happy after the sadness they faced during their previous marriage and that they should be real siblings. Later, Natsuo supports his father to remarry after his wife's death. And seeing his son's support, the father enthusiastically tells him that they are moving to a new house with the girls. In the new house, while Natsuo is nervous and crushed about losing the chance to win Hina over, she, on the other hand, is excited to have a new brother, not one from Alabama, in Natsuo. Then Rue appears, pulls his ear, and tells him to forget what happened between them and start acting like a normal brother. However, Natsuo struggles to forget what happened, and it gets worse when Hina comes out without clothes after her bath. Realizing what she just did, Hina starts to panic and explains that she did it out of habit. And when she puts her clothes on, she still leaves a lot to Natsuo's imagination. After drinking, Hina sleeps next to Natsuo in the living room. And as he struggles to keep the beast asleep, Natsuo tries to wake her up. Seeing how cute she is awakens Natsuo's desire, and he goes to kiss Hina on the lips. But as soon as he gets close, Rue enters, shocking and stopping Natsuo. However, acting as if nothing happened, Rue simply pushes Hina and takes her to her room. The next day, Natsuo arrives late to school and discovers that Rue has transferred to the same school, attracting Natsuo's friends. Rue almost reveals that they live together, but Natsuo stops her. After that, they discuss how to explain to their friends about the new, clingy sibling relationship. And Natsuo suggests they simply keep quiet about it to prevent people from starting strange rumors. And without caring, Rue agrees with his idea. Later, Hina notices Natsuo's messy hair, but instead of making fun of him, she compliments him. Natsuo asks if she remembers what he did with her the previous night, but she makes Natsuo panic by thinking that they kissed, since she has kissed a friend while drunk before. But Natsuo is safe that she didn't do it with him. During lunch break, Natsuo visits Rue, who is eating alone, and notices that she has no one to have lunch with. Rue explains that when girls try to get close to her, she pushes them away. Seeing Natsuo's messy hair, Rue starts to adjust it for him, and Natsuo realizes that Rue is cute, but also awkward. Rue confesses that, unlike Hina, who makes friends easily, she struggles. And after hearing this, Natsuo suggests that he will help her practice for it. He starts asking Rue questions about herself, but she keeps answering coldly, refusing to act cute, which starts an argument with Natsuo. Everyone starts paying attention to them arguing, and suddenly everyone laughs at Rue, saying she is actually sociable and asking to be her friends. Back home, Natsuo goes to take a bath and runs into Rue in the bathroom. But instead of panicking like other girls would, Rue thanks him for what happened earlier and invites him to take a bath with her. Natsuo starts arguing that they are siblings, but Rue comes out and shows Natsuo that this brother is from Alabama. She wants to ask him about the other night. And upon hearing this, Natsuo enters the bathroom. Rue makes a guess and presumes that Natsuo tried to kiss Hina to cheer her up after what happened with her boyfriend. But Natsuo knows nothing about it. And after hearing this, Rue tells him to forget what she said. The next morning at breakfast, the parents announce that they are going to formalize the marriage at a registry office, leaving Natsuo and the sisters alone at home while Hina cooks. Natsuo starts to wonder if Hina knows how to cook, and when he sees her cooking, in his mind he wants to have her. Natsuo starts to compliment her on her cooking, but Hina points out that it is Rue who actually does most of the cooking. Then Hina starts drinking, and while Rue is in her room, Natsuo asks Hina about her boyfriend, and Hina instantly realizes that Rue told him something. She quickly dismisses his concerns and asks about his problems. Natsuo reveals that his only problem is his curly hair, and upon hearing this, Hina teases him by saying she is jealous. She shows her hair and tickles his face with it, making him give in. Suddenly, Hina slips and Natsuo catches her, almost kissing. But a phone call from a man named Shu interrupts them, and Hina leaves Natsuo to meet this mysterious man in front of the house. A moment later, Hina screams and runs back into the house, upset, but refuses to tell Natsuo what happened. The doorbell starts ringing and Hina asks Natsuo to ignore it. However, Rue enters, opens the door, and reveals it to be the parents who were drunk. That night, Natsuo can't sleep, tormented by Hina's problems. The next day, Natsuo goes to a cafe to vent to his friend Fumiya, who can already guess what Natsuo is going to vent about. Natsuo talks about the problem of Hina's unhappy boyfriend and wanting to get involved. And the cafe owner, Masaki, advises him to just clap for Hina to make her feel better. But they just ignore this strange old man and his advice. After hearing Natsuo's story, Fumiya says that he is jealous of Hina's boyfriend and reveals that he feels the same. Fumiya talks about the women who visit the cafe and have problems with their men. And they start to do a role-playing game, where Natsuo is the cheating husband with 20 lovers and Fumiya is the wife who likes them. On the way home, Natsuo and Fumiya encounter Hina after she was dropped off by a man in a car. And seeing this makes Natsuo feel jealous and think that she is having an affair. At home, Natsuo goes to Hina's room and confronts her directly, asking if she is having an affair. Hina tries to brush it off, but under his accusation of betrayal, and with all the pressure he puts on, Hina gives in and confesses that she is dating a married man. This disappoints Natsuo, who sees Hina as a shameless woman. As she tries to kick him out of her room, Natsuo kisses Hina and she enjoys it for a moment before slapping him in the face to stop him. Suddenly, she goes in for another long kiss, playing tongue, and pushes him onto the bed for some plot development. They pause for a second and Hina does nothing, telling Natsuo that she can feel that he is scared and she considers that he is still immature. After he leaves, Hina questions what she just did while Natsuo starts crying in his room. The next morning, the family panics upon finding a letter from Natsuo, who ran away from home. While the parents think that Natsuo has problems with her marriage, Hina remains silent while knowing the truth. Meanwhile, Natsuo is at Fumiya's house after running away and skipping school. Fumiya apologizes, thinking it is his fault, but Natsuo assures him that the blame is his own for having done something he shouldn't have. Upon hearing this, Fumiya tells Natsuo that it is now fair game, and he should go after Hina to make her the mother of his baby, but Natsuo rejects the idea and they start to fight. However, Fumiya ends up cheering him up. Then he tells Natsuo to stop chasing after girls and focus on writing to ensure success. Days later, while he is struggling to write, Natsuo sees Rue through the window looking for something. They lock eyes and Rue says she was looking for him and asks if she can stay with him there. Then they start to argue that Rue can't stay, but Fumiya's mother appears and asks if Rue is his little sister. Rue starts to argue that she is the older sister, but after finding out she is younger, she puffs her cheeks like a squirrel. Then Fumiya's mother invites her in, and then Fumiya starts to freak out upon seeing Natsuo, a homeless guy, bring Rue, a homeless girl, to his house. After explaining what happened, Rue confesses that she is also running away from home to boycott her sister's action, not liking that Hina is dating a married man. Once Rue tried to convince Hina to give up, but she ignored Rue and said that she would never understand how she felt. Although he cares, Fumiya tells the siblings that they can't stay with him forever and that they need to do something. Natsuo tells them that he will make Hina break up with her affair partner, and after hearing his conviction, they start to make a plan. Later, the two go home finding their parents worried, but are shocked to see the divorce papers on the table and explain that their marriage has nothing to do with them running away. Natsuo's father starts crying, begging Natsuo to open up to him if he has problems. But Natsuo can't do it. Crying, Hina starts to apologize, but except for Natsuo, no one knows why she is crying. The next morning, Hina greets Natsuo, but he responds coldly and sits next to Rue to start their plan. While Hina is teaching gym class, Natsuo and Rue follow her, and after what Fumiya suggested, they plan to find out who the guy is that Hina is seeing. After Hina leaves, the two follow her to a bar, and their Hina drinks alone for hours. Then the two decide to follow her again another day. The next night they follow her again, but it turns out Hina goes to a comedy show alone. After a few days, they don't catch Hina with any boy. But on this day, Natsuo is convinced it will happen. But instead of a guy, a girl appears, and it becomes clear that Hina is just lending her ears for the student event. Seeing this happen, Fumiya suggests their last resort. Back at home, Hina is taking a bath when Rue sneaks in and takes Hina's phone for the final attempt. They find the contact for the guy's shoe and call him, and Rue pretends to be Hina. But Rue gets nervous, starts stuttering, and hangs up. Then Shu calls back, and this time Rue fails again to say anything, failing in her last attempt. At the cafe, both are dejected after the failure. And Masaki laughs at their failure, but he praises them for their youthful spirit. Suddenly, Hina enters with her man Shu, shocking Natsuo and Rue. Without wasting time, Natsuo tells Shu to break up with Hina and starts to get aggressive. Masaki stops him, forbidding him from using violence in his cafe. Then everyone sits down together, and Shu begins to explain that he has been dating Hina for 2 years, which is before Natsuo met her. Rue asks who started the relationship between the couple, and upon hearing this, Shu takes the blame and confesses that he actually wants to meet Hina's family. Suddenly, Natsuo starts to criticize this fool, accusing Shu of thinking their affair is something special while abandoning his poor wife. Shu agrees with the sentiment, but still prefers Hina, saying that his love is true and asks for Natsuo's blessing once he divorces his wife. Natsuo is still not convinced, stating that Shu kept making Hina cry. And after hearing this, Shu presents his reason, apologizes to Hina for making her wait for him to divorce his wife. But Rue throws water on Shu, and with anger in her eyes, Rue runs away. Natsuo goes after her and thanks Rue for what she did, even inviting her to kick Shu's teeth in. But Rue refuses his offer. Suddenly, Rue starts crying out of frustration, rejecting her sister's new relationship. And upon seeing her tears, Natsuo hugs Rue to calm her down. Meanwhile, Shu was trying to help Hina deal with what's happening, but tells her that he knows Natsuo loves her romantically after what he just saw. Hina assures Shu that she feels nothing for Natsuo, but Shu doesn't believe her. After everything that happened, Hina asks Shu to keep their distance, and they hug. The next morning, Natsuo wakes up and finds Rue, who cried all night. At breakfast, their father reminds them that the visit to their late mother's grave is today, and Natsuo feels guilty for forgetting his own mother. Hina appears, acting as if everything is normal, and invites Rue to go shopping with her, but Rue ignores Hina and walks away. Hina tries to ask Natsuo, but he also rejects her, needing to do something important. He goes to the cemetery, and there visits his late mother. He remembers the past when his mother was bedridden in the hospital, but still managed to stay cheerful, giving Natsuo presents because she couldn't always be there for him, worried about not being able to help wipe away his tears. Then his mother died, and although he was sad, Natsuo tried his best not to cry so that his late mother wouldn't worry. Now, 10 years have passed, and Natsuo still wonders what life would be like if she were still alive. Suddenly, Hina and Rue appear before him with flowers and his mother's favorite dish in their hands, and they want to introduce themselves to his mother. Hina tells Natsuo that she broke up with Shu and explains it was because Shu is being indecisive about the divorce and because she loves the family very much. Both Rue and Natsuo are happy, and the three pray at the late mother's grave asking for her blessing. The next morning during breakfast, Rue is scolding Hina for being picky with her food. And seeing this, Natsuo smiles and then tells Rue how happy he is that they are finally starting to become a real family. Then Rue asks him why he ran away from home, but Natsuo quickly escapes, refusing to answer. At school, Rue is minding her own business when a girl talks to her and introduces herself as Momo. She reveals she wanted to talk to Rue for a long time and gives her a doll. At lunch, her friends invite Rue to eat, but when they see Momo's doll, they throw it away and tell Rue that she should avoid Momo, as she is known for a street life and likes to flirt with guys, which displeases the other girls. However, Rue picks the doll back up and tells her friends that she can judge for herself. Later, Rue meets Momo again, and this time Momo gives her another doll that looks like her, which leaves Rue creeped out. Then Momo devours an ice cream, and after seeing how Momo gets messy while enjoying the ice cream, Rue asks if Momo has experience with men. Momo knows that Rue heard the rumors and reveals that she has dated 30 guys in the past, which shocks Rue. Momo explains that all her ex-boyfriends betrayed her, with some even stealing her money and locking her up. With all the rumors around her, Momo has difficulty making friends and asks Rue to be her friend, which Rue accepts. Then they do everything together at school, and when Natsuo finds them at the bookstore, he is surprised that Rue now has a friend. They introduce themselves, and it doesn't take long for Momo to show interest in Natsuo, where she starts asking questions about his passion for writing. On the way home, a bicycle almost hits them, but Natsuo pulls Momo to his chest, which makes her swoon. Then, after they part ways, Momo asks Rue for permission to date him, in case Rue also has feelings for him. But after Rue says she has no feelings for Natsuo, Momo asks for her blessing. The next day, Rue has a fever and Natsuo thinks about taking her home, but Momo appears and hands him a small piece of paper before leaving and gives him a smile. On the paper is a date invitation for Natsuo, but instead of going, Natsuo visits Rue at home, telling her that she is more important. Feeling sweaty due to the fever, Rue takes off her clothes and begs Natsuo to help her wipe the sweat off her back. So still imagining their plot-filled night together, Natsuo wipes Rue down and then puts her to bed. After a message from Hina asking him to take care of Rue, Natsuo stays by Rue's side, showing he cares. Rue tells Natsuo directly that Momo has a crush on him and explains that the idea of Momo dating him makes her uncomfortable. Then, her fever gets worse and her mother tells Natsuo that her medicine is available, but needs to be administered by someone else. Knowing that Rue can't do it herself, Natsuo helps from behind and does it. After an hour, Rue's fever goes down and the family thanks Natsuo for his help. The next day, Momo confronts Natsuo and she isn't upset about being stood up. But Natsuo's friend, Yuya, sees them and tells Natsuo that Momo is known to be from the streets. Yuya reveals that he went out with Momo once and warns Natsuo that she is crazy. At lunch, Momo cooked for him so they could eat together. Momo tells Natsuo that she does this only for people she likes, refusing to leave anything to chance by giving her best. And upon hearing this, Natsuo thinks she is amazing. She notices something is bothering him, and after pressing him for an answer, Natsuo confesses that he still hasn't gotten over his first love. Suddenly, Momo kisses his cheek and invites him to go to her house. After that, they play a game of Twister, and as the aggressor, Momo pushes him to show her plot. In his head, Natsuo wants to be with Momo to forget Hina, but then he gets a message from Rue asking what he wants for dinner. Momo tells Natsuo that she is jealous of him for having a complete family that eats dinner together while she doesn't have that. They continue from where they left off, and while undressing Natsuo, he sees cuts on her wrist. Momo assures him it's fine for him to continue with the plot, but Natsuo stops, and instead of proceeding, he cooks for her so they can eat together. She compliments him, and Natsuo tells Momo that she can call him whenever she feels lonely. After hearing this, Momo starts crying and confesses that everyone she dated avoided her after seeing the scars, and that Natsuo is the first to treat her well even after seeing them. Although she wants to date him, Natsuo rejects her interest and tells her that it's better not to date someone just to depend on them. Days later, while reading a book on the roof, Natsuo is alone when suddenly an attractive teacher, Kariya, appears out of nowhere while smoking a cigarette. He notices Natsuo's book and leaves him alone. After happily learning that there are still people who like to read, they start talking about their favorite authors. Kariya approaches Natsuo and compliments his pretty eyes before leaving. Later, Rue asks Natsuo to help her look for clubs she can join. Rue tells him that Momo is happy because he cooked for her, but Rue isn't, since Natsuo never cooked for her. Natsuo realizes that while he was playing around with Momo, Rue was alone at home. Later, after finding out that Natsuo is going to visit girls' clubs with Rue, the boys tag along, confusing Rue about why Natsuo brought some friends with him. They look at sports clubs where the clothes are tight and the cheeks are chubby. And after the tour ends, the boys leave Natsuo alone with Rue to find clubs for her. They enter a room belonging to the reading club, and there they find a book they both want to read. And since there's no one there, they take it. The next day, Natsuo returns to the room to return the book. But there was a voice behind the bookshelf. When he investigates, he sees Kariya, the teacher, kissing a student. And when he tries to sneak away, they catch Natsuo. The student Mio explains that she was just removing something from Kariya's face, and Natsuo believes her. Kariya approaches Natsuo, and upon seeing the book in his hand, tells Mio that Natsuo will join the reading club. Kariya forces him to join by threatening to report him for taking the book without permission. With no choice, Natsuo agrees to join, which makes Mio happy. And seeing this happen, Kariya suggests they go out to recruit more members. After school, Natsuo and Mio go to distribute flyers, and Mio confesses to Natsuo that her club is dying with her as the only member. And Natsuo joining the club makes her happy. So they start distributing flyers, and Rue takes one from Natsuo, asking if this idiot is in the reading club. Kariya appears and tells Natsuo that he is now officially a member of the reading club. After running out of flyers, Natsuo goes to check on how Mio is doing, but when he gets there, the flyers haven't decreased and all the students ignore her. While she is very sad, she apologizes for being too reserved, but Natsuo says it's okay and reassures her, saying she shouldn't feel bad. The next day, Natsuo finds a love letter from Kariya, telling him to go to the club. There, Kariya starts asking his members about their experience with romance novels. Knowing that both Natsuo and Mio are writing love novels, despite their terrible love lives, Kariya suggests they kiss each other. While Natsuo starts to panic, Mio accepts the suggestion and closes her eyes, waiting for a kiss. Natsuo starts questioning the absurdity of the situation, but after encouragement from Kariya, he goes in for the kiss. But when he sees Mio's tears, Natsuo stops. He states that he can't do it and hands a tissue to Mio to wipe her tears. But after seeing his strong character, Kariya asks to read what he wrote. At home, while working on club activities, Natsuo asks Hina about Kariya as a teacher. And Hina says that although Kariya is weird, he's also an impeccable teacher. To cheer him up, Hina gives him some chocolate and wishes him good luck. Suddenly, Rue tells them that she wants to join the reading club. And although she has never written anything before, Natsuo doesn't oppose her entry. At the club, Natsuo tells Mio that Rue is joining, and she is joyful to hear it and hands Natsuo a handkerchief and a candy to thank him for the other day. With the library's strict rules, they start communicating like Kongs, using notes to talk about Kariya. And while Natsuo thinks he is weird, Mio says Kariya is a great mentor. Later, after hearing about Rue joining the reading club, Momo declares that she wants to join too, even though she only reads books written by Stephen King. So everyone goes to the club, and Mio gets excited to see new members, but is shocked to see Momo, who is a genius, joining her club. Mio thanks Natsuo for lending her a book, and seeing them so close makes Rue jealous. Later, Rue goes to the cafe and vents to Masaki about the sudden increase in her anxiety and worry about how people see her. Upon hearing this, Masaki reassures her, saying that everyone and even he goes through it, and tells the story of how he used to be a Yakuza. In his story, he is in the middle of a deal when he sees a handsome rival, and then Masaki surrenders and wants to devour the man's cucumber. But he tells Rue that what she is feeling is a strong emotion that affects how she thinks and feels, and that she needs to follow where that emotion leads her. At home, Natsuo is alone with Hina, and she thanks him for not telling their parents about Shu. But suddenly Hina invites him to go out with her. A week later, they spend time together at a cafe. They start eating ice cream, and a waiter compliments them for being a cute couple, which embarrasses Natsuo. Then they walk around looking at different scenery, like Alabama siblings would do. At the beach, while playing around, Hina apologizes for not treating Natsuo like an adult all this time, and says that when they almost did it, she did it to hurt him and push him away. Then Natsuo asks why she had an affair, even though her own father cheated on her mother. Hina explains that Shu was her first love, but he was also her teacher. She tells the story during her school days, and there was a classmate of hers, Mami, who liked a boy named Shibata. However, when Shibata is friendly with Hina, Mami gets jealous and starts badmouthing Hina, saying she is from the streets, but right next to them, Hina hears everything. Then at lunch, Hina is alone crying when Shu, her teacher, appears and cheers her up with his puppets. From then on, Hina starts visiting him, slowly falling in love. But then even after finding out he is married, Hina still chooses to see him. At first, Hina thought cheaters were the worst, but now she is no different. After hearing her story, instead of feeling disgust, Natsuo can relate. He shows Hina his finished novel and says he is in love with her. His words leave Hina frozen and shocked. But instead of rejecting him, Hina pulls Natsuo into the ocean, slowly drowning. And when Natsuo panics, Hina brings him back to reality, saying that for them to date is like dying together and throwing away everything and everyone they know. Hina asks for them to remain as siblings, but before leaving the ocean, Natsuo hugs her to let his love go forever. Later that night, Hina read Natsuo's novel and starts crying upon realizing that the heroine of the novel is her. And the next morning, she leaves a note saying, "Thank you to Natsuo for the beautiful novel." In the following days, although he promised to let it go, Hina is still on his mind. Then Rue enters his room at night and, after sitting on the bed, holds his hand and comments how they haven't kissed since he clapped. Rue asks Natsuo to kiss her, and when he tries to refuse, she mentions Hina in a conversation and how he tried to kiss her even though they are siblings. Natsuo tries to push Rue away, But after what happened with Hina, he doesn't care anymore and says they can do it. So they kiss like normal siblings would, and instead of feeling disgust, Rue likes it and asks to do it more often in the future after feeling how tender his kisses are. The next day, Natsuo goes to his reading club and there spends time talking with Mio, discovering that she wrote several stories for the school publication. Then Rue and Momo arrive, see the two of them, and start feeling jealous of Mio, who can have Natsuo all to herself. While Natsuo reminds the members that they need to write more for the club's publication, Kariya enters and tells the members they should focus on the final exam first. After hearing what Kariya said, Rue and Natsuo beg Hina like puppies to teach them, and Hina accepts. Later, Hina criticizes Natsuo's grammar and Rue teases, saying he was too busy imagining clapping for Mio. Hearing about this rumor excites Hina. But when Natsuo has a flashback and makes a face, Rue thinks he really did clap for Mio in the club room. Hina tries to gossip more about Mio, but Natsuo quickly cuts the subject short. In his room, Natsuo gets irritated because Rue snitched on him in front of Hina, so he goes to confront her. However, when he arrives at her room and looks through the door, he sees Hina alone on the bed, making happy noises, mixing her own lotion, and listening to her own CDs while imagining Shu. Natsuo, who was watching, gets startled and accidentally drops the book, almost getting caught, but manages to escape. The next morning, Hina scolds him for waking up late and waves saying bye as she goes to work. But upon seeing her hand, Natsuo blushes after knowing where that hand has been. A week later, the exam ends and Kariya congratulates them for getting good grades as they enter summer vacation. Days later, Natsuo spends his vacation writing and not with Hina, and although she is as cheerful as ever, Natsuo feels something has changed in her. Stuck in his writing, he plans to get books from school. But before leaving, Rue confronts him and asks if he stole her panties, which he denies. Feeling a bit lonely, Natsuo tries to invite Rue to go with him, even promising to buy some Victoria's Secret pieces for her, but she refuses his offer and encourages him to go to school alone. Out of nowhere, Natsuo is hit by a bicycle and is confused about what kind of idiot rides a bike inside the school. It turns out to be a foreign student named Alex, who gets excited to meet a new friend and acts as if he did nothing wrong. Afterwards, they go to the cafe, and Masaki starts admiring Alex's cute face. Masaki warns Natsuo that an underwear thief has been roaming around town, which makes Alex start talking about his non-existent 2D girlfriends who don't wear underwear. On the way back, they are talking about girls and their various peach colors when they spot the underwear thief in action. Alex goes after him like in Street Fighter. After they catch the thief, they end up at the police station, and Rue appears worried about Natsuo after the incident. Without hesitation, Alex begs Natsuo to introduce him to Rue so he can start clapping for her. Later, Natsuo returns home with Rue and after Alex's request, begins to question his feelings for her. At home, Natsuo tries to invite Rue to go out with him and Alex, and explains that Alex has a crush on her. Learning that Natsuo is trying to set her up with Alex irritates Rue, and she gives Natsuo a death glare before going to her room. Natsuo runs after her, sits beside her and brings her food, which she enjoys. Natsuo apologizes for what he did, but Rue refuses and asks him to compensate her in a different way. Realizing what she wants, Natsuo kisses her, advancing the plot, but Hina accidentally walks in, and her shocked expression stops the two siblings from making taboo babies. Hina walks away, and Natsuo chases after her, trying to explain, but she refuses to believe anything he says and hides in her room. After Natsuo's failure, Rue goes alone to Hina's room and explains that she was the one who started the kiss, because she has feelings for Natsuo. Hina tries to convince Rue to give up on it, since Natsuo is her brother, but Rue uses the reverse Uno card, saying, if there's a hole, there's a way. The next day, Natsuo tells Alex that Rue is not interested, but instead of feeling rejected, he becomes optimistic about winning her over. Seeing Natsuo's sad face, Alex asks if he is okay, and after Natsuo says his family is having problems, Alex gives him the advice to talk to them and say how he feels. Later at home, Natsuo tries to talk to Hina through the door, but she is there, and he says he knows that Rue likes him. Hina asks Natsuo if he feels the same, but he tells Hina that she is the one he... After hearing this, Hina says she is moving out, feeling betrayed after seeing him kiss Rue. After learning about Hina's plan to move out, the parents suggest that everyone goes to a festival together before she leaves. There, Natsuo can't take his eyes off Hina, and both he and Rue realize they are guilty for Hina's departure. Suddenly, they meet Ayano, a cafe employee, and her son, Yuta. Ayano takes Natsuo to see Masaki playing drums with his friends, and this traumatizes Natsuo. Then, Hina sees a goldfish stall and manages to catch the fish easily, but the vegan gods hit her with karma and make her drop her phone in the water. She finds Natsuo and is relieved he is with her, and Natsuo tells her to hold his hand so they don't get separated. He takes her to a private place and tries to convince her not to move out, knowing it's his fault, but Hina says it's for the good of both of them that she moves out. Natsuo tries to make her tell the reason for her departure, but Hina refuses, bites his hand, and runs away. While Natsuo continues to follow her, trying to talk to her, they meet Masaki. Natsuo asks him to grab her, and Masaki holds Hina so Natsuo can talk to her. After making her sit down, Masaki scolds Hina for acting like a spoiled child who can't handle her feelings, and then gives Hina sweets to calm her down. Afterwards, they leave Hina alone with Natsuo, and she starts talking about her feelings and how she is jealous of Rue, who acts like a free person, while she has to play the role of the responsible older sister, and that moving out was her way of being a bit freer. She reveals she got jealous seeing Rue kissing him and fears she would follow her feelings if she stayed with Natsuo any longer. Instead of feeling sad, Natsuo is happy to hear Hina's true feelings for the first time and hugs her from behind, asking to stay like that just a little longer. The next day, Hina reveals she is still moving out, shocking Natsuo and making him sad, because after confessing their feelings for each other, they can't start making forbidden babies. However, Hina says they can meet whenever they want, and Natsuo understands this as an invitation to go to her new place. Meanwhile, Rue is still depressed after realizing she will live without her sister for the first time, and seeing this, her mother suggests she get some fresh air. So Rue goes to the bookstore, and there finds Korea and a familiar face, Shu, with him. Without resentment, Rue looks at Shu with hostility, but he assures her he no longer has contact with Hina. Shu asks Rue for a moment to apologize properly. They go to the cafe, and there Masaki can't believe Shu is dating a guy now, but he assures he still likes women. Then Shu apologizes for what he did to Rue's family and reveals he is already divorced from his wife due to personality differences, but assures he won't reconnect with Hina. Rue asks why not, and Shu confesses it doesn't seem right since Hina was the one who broke up with him. After hearing what Shu has to say, Rue vents about Hina's departure and how she feels it's her fault for making Hina leave, but Shu calms her down and convinces her that is not the case. After that, while Hina is packing her things, Rue goes to her and begs her to stay, saying she will do anything for her to remain, except abandon her feelings for Natsuo. However, Hina tells Rue that she doesn't need to do anything and asks to let her be free. Then Natsuo finds a letter from Hina in his room, and inside there is a spare key to her apartment, and Natsuo can hardly wait to touch her breasts, and the plot thickens. The family helps with the move to Hina's new apartment, and when the parents bring up the subject of marriage, Hina smiles at Natsuo, and now he knows exactly what the key is for. While looking at the key, he thinks he is ready to show his love for Hina and be a man. On the way to Hina's house, he enters her old room and sees Rue there alone, already missing her sister. Natsuo enters and while trying to comfort her, Rue hugs him and says she is okay because she has him by her side. However, Natsuo releases her from the hug and puts her in the friend zone, saying he will support her as her brother. Later, the father arrives home and sees Rue cooking. When he notices she is preparing pork, he says it's Natsuo's favorite, but Rue explains that her brother is at Fumiya's house and won't be back for dinner. However, Natsuo is at Hina's house ringing the doorbell, but she doesn't answer, so he uses the key and enters. Inside, he sees Hina sleeping, and while admiring her face, she wakes up and gets embarrassed. Natsuo uses his calmness and says he is prepared to abandon everything just to love her. Hina reveals she feels happy, and after hearing this, Natsuo kisses her and refuses to let go, saying he considers this his first kiss, forgetting the time she pushed him and devoured his tongue. Upon hearing this, Hina asks him to kiss her again to rewrite the previous kiss, and this time Natsuo becomes bolder, getting closer to the promised land, but Hina stops him, not wanting to rush things. After she says this, Natsuo feels a bit down, but Hina assures him their relationship is just beginning. The next day, they return to school, and Alex, excited, jumps on Natsuo's back, showing him what it's like to be trapped, but when he sees Rue with him, he gets embarrassed and introduces himself. Then, upon finding out that both Rue and Natsuo are in the reading club, Alex wants to join. They ask Korea if he can join, even if his favorite literary piece is the alphabet, and Korea approves, knowing that with enough members his club will receive a budget from the school. While Natsuo is walking with his friends, they meet Hina, and their Natsuo realizes something. After that, Natsuo confronts Hina and asks if she is ready for a relationship with him, but she takes his hand and leads him to a more private place. Natsuo worries he is being too needy, but she assures him she feels the same and is just being cautious in their relationship. She pulls him down to hide from others, and they kiss. At her house, they continue kissing while cooking dinner like a couple. Days later, while the school holds a festival, the reading club opens a maid cafe, making us drool over the girls in maid outfits. After the festival, the club is worried about Korea, who has been absent for a few days, so Natsuo suggests they visit him. They go to Kariya's fancy apartment and are greeted by a girl who asks them to wait. They wonder if she is the mother of Kariya's baby, but when he appears, they stop talking about it. They tell Kariya they are worried, but he assures them he is fine and that the girl is his editor. She reveals that Kariya is not only a teacher, but also a novelist, which sends Natsuo into a frenzy upon discovering he is his favorite author. Having already written novels for the club, Kariya suggests they submit their creation for a competition and that the prize could help them become professional novelists, which excites Natsuo. The next day, Natsuo and Mio can't stop talking about Kariya being their favorite author, and Natsuo starts teasing Mio for being relieved to know the great Kariya is still single. However, Mio gets upset and accidentally pushes him down the stairs, almost sending Natsuo to an ice sky. He breaks his leg, and Hina becomes very worried. Natsuo tells Hina he now can't go to her house for a while, but she asks him to focus on healing first. Later, while eating Rue's food, Hina kisses Natsuo and says she is glad he will be staying home longer. At school, everyone gathers to see Mio on her knees begging for Natsuo's forgiveness, saying she will do anything for him, and Natsuo calms her down. Back home, Natsuo is taking a bath when Rue enters, showing all her attributes, saying she is there to help him clean himself. Natsuo agrees, but only with the lights off, and then both are in the same bathtub, and Natsuo starts apologizing to Hina while his anaconda rises horizontally for Rue. Then Rue begins to clean his back, and when she tries to look for soap, she accidentally touches his large carrot, which surprises Natsuo. At the cafe, Rue tells Fumiya that Natsuo won't be going to his house for a while, but Fumiya says that Natsuo hasn't been going to his house. Later, Rue approaches Natsuo like a cute kitten and confronts him about where he has been going whenever he leaves the house. Natsuo lies by saying he has been going to Momo's house, and Rue believes him, asking him to take her with him so she doesn't have dinner alone. After that, Natsuo tells Fumiya all about his situation and asks him to back him up next time. And Fumiya warns him that if anyone finds out about him and Hina, things will get ugly. At the club, Natsuo receives a selfie from Hina and he really wants to see her after such a long time. Rue enters and Natsuo tells her he is going to Fumiya's house and Rue believes him. However, Natsuo is with Hina playing Twister. Hina feeds him as if she were his wife. After remembering how Hina bathed him, Natsuo asks Hina if she would help him bathe if they lived together. And Hina agrees that she would. Natsuo is happy to hear this and kisses her again more intensely. He asks if he can bathe here, and although she has her doubts, Hina agrees. So they get a bit bolder, getting closer to the promised land that losers can only dream of. But suddenly the doorbell rings, and when Hina opens the door, it's Rue waiting outside, looking crushed and devastated. She approaches Natsuo and without saying a word, starts crying in front of him and runs away. Both Hina and Natsuo realize they have messed up with the relationship exposed and Rue is heartbroken. Natsuo goes home and Rue is not there. But then Fumiya calls him and tells him that Rue came to his house worried about Natsuo, who has a broken leg, making Natsuo feel guilty. Later he finds Rue alone in the rain and she slaps his face, calling him a liar. After calming down, Rue explains that after going to Fumiya's house and Natsuo not being there, she got worried and started looking for clues. In his room, she found his novel. There she realized that the heroine of his novel is her sister, Hina. Rue asks Natsuo if he loves Hina, and he tells Rue the truth, that he has loved her for a long time. He tells Rue that Hina accepted his feelings, and that from now on he wants a future with Hina. Upon hearing this, although it hurts her, Rue kisses him and asks him to let her kiss him for the last time. They return home, and Rue covers for Natsuo by telling their mother a fake story about how Natsuo picked her up in the rain. Natsuo tries to thank her for it, but she goes to her room without saying anything. Then, unable to contain her emotions, Rue cries alone in the bathtub, covering the sound of her tears. The next morning, she returns to normal and tells Natsuo that she will start hating him from now on, as it is the only way to stop her feelings and for her heart to start healing. In class, it is announced that they are going on a school trip, and while the others are excited, Natsuo is not. He meets Hina and tells her how Rue now knows everything and how she will start hating him because of her. After that, Hina passes by Rue, but she just walks past Hina without acknowledging her. In the club room, the members gather, and after Kiriya enters, he announces that Rue won the competition. While the others congratulate her, Natsuo feels sad for not winning. After school, Mio finds Natsuo and tells him that, just like him, she's upset about losing to Rue in a writing contest. She vents about how since she was little she always loved reading and thought she had talent for it. But now as someone without talent, she feels she has something that a talented person like Rue doesn't have, the will to win. After hearing her speech, Natsuo goes to Kiriya's house and asks him to be his teacher. And when Kariya refuses, Natsuo forces him to accept. Natsuo tells Kariya that he desperately wanted to be a novelist, and after seeing his lack of talent compared to Rue, he wants him to help him become a better writer. Kariya reveals that Rue refused the prize without giving a reason, and gives Natsuo a reality check about talent. Kariya tells him that his greatest talent is the desire to be a novelist, which Rue lacks, and that being a student won't get him anywhere, as there is nothing he can teach him that Natsuo doesn't already know. Kariya asks Natsuo if he wants to write novels, or just have the title of novelist, which opens his eyes. Back home, Kariya's words resonate with Natsuo, and he realizes how empty he really is. The next day, Natsuo starts writing again after receiving a book from Kariya to help him write a novel. And here Natsuo starts from scratch in his own turbulent training arc. After a few days, Natsuo gives Kariya a short story he made for him to read and states that he will do this once a week as part of his training. Then they start the school trip, and Natsuo takes the opportunity to spend it with his friends. At dinner, Alex suddenly kisses him, making him taste the flavor of guys. Then everyone goes to the beach showing their abs and swimsuits, full of plot. Rue confronts Hina about the swimsuits around his students, but Hina starts crying after her sister finally speaks to her after all that happened. She tells Rue that she will break up with Natsuo so everything can return to normal, but Rue pinches her cheek and says her idea won't change anything, since Natsuo will always want to be with her. And after hearing this, they reconcile as sisters. On the last day of the trip, Natsuo and his friends walk around, and Natsuo sees a stall selling rings. He messages Hina, and they set a time to meet at night. Then Natsuo goes to Hina's room and hugs her, saying how much he wants to see her. While Hina wants to break up, Natsuo wants to get serious, and both start to panic. Hina tries to convince Natsuo to break up before they start having children, but Natsuo rejects her proposal and puts a ring on her finger, showing how serious he is. After seeing his reasons, Hina gives in to Natsuo, and he tells her that the next ring will be when they get married, and his words cause a double impact on Hina, who starts crying and kisses him. They lie down on a bed and, unlike before, do hot yoga at night to advance the plot. After 15 seconds of greatness, they lie there and Natsuo asks Hina when she started liking him, to which Hina replies that it was since they started talking on the roof. Natsuo accidentally reveals that he saw her DJing, and this embarrasses Hina. Then she tells him that if he falls in love with someone else, he must tell her first, but Natsuo assures her that it won't happen. Days later, Hina is called by the principal into the conference room, and then they confront her with a photo of her and Natsuo kissing. Hina is shocked, and the principal reveals they got the photo by accident, but they know it's her and Natsuo in the photo. Hina asks if the photo is public, and after finding out it hasn't been released, Hina bows and begs that only she be punished and not Natsuo. In the auditorium, while Natsuo daydreams about wanting to go for a second round with Hina, she appears and announces that she is transferring schools. The students start begging her to stay, but she says how grateful she is to be their teacher and wishes them the best for the future. Then Rue and Natsuo, who are both panicking, ask each other if either of them knows what is happening with Hina, but both know nothing. Natsuo tries to call Hina, but she doesn't answer. Then he goes to the teacher's room to look for her, but the vice principal, who knows what happened, tells Natsuo to go home. Meanwhile, Kariya confronts Hina and says he knows after reading Natsuo's novel. Kariya tells her that, just like his friend Shu, who once loved Hina, she should have consulted Kariya about it and waited until graduation. However, Hina starts crying and tells him it would have been useless, as her feelings for Natsuo would have been too strong. Meanwhile, Natsuo runs to Hina's apartment and discovers she has already vacated the place, and there she leaves a letter for him. In the letter, Hina reveals that she chose to change schools after their relationship was exposed and kept it a secret, not wanting him to sacrifice his future to choose her. Hina wishes for Natsuo not to try to find her and to move on so he can become a novelist. She apologizes for keeping it a secret and tells Natsuo that the time she dated him was the best of her life, and that she loves him and will never forget how he loved her. After reading the letter, Natsuo screams in pain. A week later, Rue vents to Masaki about how Hina has stopped contacting her and how Natsuo refuses to leave his room. Hearing this, Fumiya comes to visit him and tries to cheer him up, but there he reads the novel Natsuo wrote and starts to get angry. Fumiya gives Natsuo a reality check and tells Natsuo that if he continues like this, Hina's sacrifice will be in vain. Natsuo starts crying, saying how he feels so powerless about losing Hina. And outside the room, Rue is also crying. Later, Natsuo asks Kariya for permission to stop sending short stories, so he can send a longer one and move on. At home, Natsuo is still locked in his room, while the mother found out where Hina is staying to ensure she is safe and tells the father not to tell the kids. They both know about the relationship between Hina and Natsuo and start thinking if they should divorce because of it. Rue enters Natsuo's room and notices he hasn't been eating. She vents about this to Masaki. He has an idea. Days later, Masaki takes Natsuo to a public bath, where his tattoo shocks Natsuo. He tells Natsuo that the bath will help him, and then he tells the story of the tattoo and how he once left the Yakuza, which made his father angry. However, Masaki became happier after leaving, being able to love the man of his dreams. But then his father died of cancer, and out of shame he chose not to go to the funeral and kept the tattoo as a sign of respect. But he gives valuable advice: face and carry the pain of the past while continuing to live for the future. Later, after Rue brings food to his room, Natsuo starts eating, and this pleases her. Then Natsuo continues writing his masterpiece, even in front of the computer, and in the end he can see the words coming to life. And Rue is more hopeful that he is okay. Months later, Natsuo comes out of his room, which surprises Rue, and he tells her that his novel is ready, and he wants her to read it. He apologizes for making the parents worry, and after seeing that Natsuo is well, they want to celebrate the new year as a family. They visit a shrine, and all the friends are present. Realizing that Natsuo wants to deliver his novel to Kiriya, everyone goes to Kiriya's house, which surprises him. Later that night, Kiriya reads Natsuo's masterpiece and can't believe how much Natsuo has changed. A week later, Kiriya invites Natsuo to his house, and there he introduces Natsuo to a man named Sataya, who is there to take him somewhere. They take him to the most prestigious art contest and reveal that Natsuo won first place in the amateur category after Kiriya submitted his work. Then Natsuo gives a speech, and although awkward, he thanks everyone who helped him become a novelist. Kiriya tells Natsuo that his victory is not by chance, and that as long as he follows his heart, he can continue writing. Back home, Hina is there, and without hesitation he hugs her, but it turns out to be Rue with a wig. She explains that Momo lent her the wig, as she wanted to let her hair grow. Rue confesses that she cried when he hugged her, knowing it was his feelings for Hina. She asks Natsuo if he made love with Hina, and while embarrassed, Natsuo tells the truth. Suddenly, Rue pushes him, kisses him, and says that she won't hold back from now on in draining him with Hina's absence. Meanwhile, in her new life, Hina now has short hair, and in her home, she keeps a copy of Natsuo's new book and the ring he gave her.